Hey friends, I have some quick wisdom to share with you. Happy Friday, happy evening, or whenever you're watching this. So, I had a conversation with a client earlier this week, and I got the opportunity to teach this lesson. And it's some wisdom that I hadn't thought about in a while, so I want to share it with you. And it also lines up with a post that I made last week or the week before about whether or not you should say things, right? About how I'm learning to keep my mouth shut, that I don't get credit. I don't get enough credit for not saying the things that I don't say, right? So it was a little funny meme, but there's a powerful lesson behind that, right? And there's a few lessons behind that. And anyway, my client said he didn't understand the point of the post. So I want to take this opportunity to expand on that, right? So as women, right? And all of us, but primarily as women, we're often told to keep our mouths shut, right? Don't say the things, be quiet, be pretty, don't be heard, and be seen and not heard, and all of that. So I know that that's changed over the years, and it's also fundamentally true at a baseline. So personally, I may have been taught that as a child, but I've had the problem or the challenge, I don't know that it's a problem, but it can be a problem, the challenge of speaking my mind, speaking it loudly, and saying it whether you want to hear it or not. So as a result of my training and my inner work, I feel, especially recently, I've made great strides in discerning when to say something and when to not say something. And the point of my post the other day was that I encourage you to be true to yourself, right? We don't want to be quiet to the extent that, hey friends, good to see everyone who's live with me. So good to see you with you. Be with you. See you, be with you all at the same time. So we don't want to be quiet to keep our mouths shut to the point of we're not honoring ourselves. We're not honoring our truths, that we're swallowing our truth or what's right or best for us. That's not what I'm talking about here. And maybe that'll be a post for another time. And today, what I'm talking about is maybe you're like me, you're a little outspoken, or you have a tendency to be outspoken, and you think you need to you need to say what you need to say, and people need to hear it. Again, I want to preface this by I've made great strides in this area, and I still have work to do, right? I'm human and I'm doing the work. And so, in the conversation with my client this week, I had the opportunity to teach this lesson, which I hadn't thought of in some time, and that's about the four gates of speech, right? That if you're inclined to speak something, that it should go through the four gates of speech before you can determine whether or not you're going to say it, right? So when the four gates of speech are, is it true? That's the trickiest one, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Is it true? Number two, if it's true, then you go on to the next one. Number two, which is it kind? Number three is pretty straightforward, right? Is it kind? Number three is it necessary? Very subjective. Is it necessary? And I have a story to share. And number four is it the right time to say it? So if the thing that you want to say goes through all the gates, then you can say it. Okay? So that's a great measure for you. So let me give you a little story about what happened to my client. So he and his girlfriend went to his girlfriend's son's house for a cookout. Okay, there was a lot of people there, friends and family. It was over the holiday weekends, and right, so there was all kinds of people there. It was fabulous, and I guess it was at the son's house, right? So it was at the girlfriend's son's house, and the son had a new fire pit in his home, and he had said that he had built it, right? That he had built it, And my client is saying to me that, he got in trouble because he said he didn't build that. And I was like, how do you know? How do you know he didn't build it? Right? This is what prompted the four gates of speech lesson. And he's like, well, he doesn't have the best relationship with the son, right? First of all. And the son has had some challenges. And he says, he's not a mason. He doesn't know how to do that kind of stonework. And it was beautiful, right? It was like this beautiful thing. It had stonework all around and, all the things. He doesn't know how to do that. And I said, I know lots of people who have built beautiful things like that. And that's not their work. They're just handy. They have a guy, they know a friend who knows how to do the thing. And they come over on the weekends and they do it. Right. So anyway, whether or not he did doesn't matter, right? The point is it true, right? Who is it true for? And the point that I want to drive home today is that what's true for you, your truth, might not be someone else's truth, right? So for my client, he's like, that's not true. And that's an assumption, right? So he doesn't know that. He doesn't know whether or not it's true unless he was there witnessing when the fire pit was being built, right? So he doesn't know that he's making an assumption. It might be a reasonable assumption. It might not be. And I poked holes in his assumptions because I said, I know lots of people who have built similar things and, that's not their craft. That's not their profession. And it was true for his girlfriend, right? Like she was proud of her son. He'd done this thing. He's building a beautiful home for himself and to his girlfriends. That was her truth. My boy did that, right? Like my boy made the thing, built the fire pit, and it was good, right? So that's my little lesson today, right? That your truth may not be everyone else's truth. And I can't wrap this up without just bringing into the conversation like what's been going on for the past almost 3 years now, right? That it really divided us, right? I'm talking about the scamdemic. It's really dividing us, and that's a conversation for a whole other time. But that your truth, right? What's true for you, what your truth is, might be different for someone else, okay? So before you say the thing that could get you in trouble, and saying our communication is everything, right? And saying unnecessary things or things that don't pass through all the gates can be the greatest cause of our strife and suffering. So once again, before I let you go, the four gates of speech. And if your words can pass through all four gates, then go ahead and say it. And then if not, you may want to reconsider whether or not you can say it, right? And they are, is it true? And this whole video is about how my truth can be different from your truth. Is it kind? Is it necessary? And what's the last one? Is it the right time? Okay. So that's the story, my friends. I hope that as we go forth into the weekend and we start mingling and visiting with friends and loved ones, right? Keep this in mind as you engage in conversation and communication. I hope this serves you. I will look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, I will see you in the gap. And I love you. Mwah.